The Pod Show by Beat Fact Music. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Go and hit Beat Fact Music. BEATFAKMUSIC. Hit that subscribe button. Also, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Check it out. Now let's get to the show.
You understand what comes with being that guy, right? I live a great life. I ain't gonna lie. It's a lot of. I make a lot of money. I take care of my family. I've been able to experience a lot of things. But you also have to accept what comes with that, right? I get a lot of praise. I get a lot of credit. I get a lot of accolades. But I'm not perfect. And there's times where, I've needed to play better. I needed to do more. And, that's what comes with being, that guy. So just understanding that, and it's not, that people don't just criticize me. There's a lot of people that came before me that they criticize, and it's going to be people that.
So that was a clip of Jason Tatum's post-game comments from Celtics 115-93 beating of the Knicks yesterday at MSG. Interesting how this plays out. It's one of those interesting games. You could watch it from the start. They were making their threes. They were doing everything they were supposed to do. This time they were making threes, the Celtics I'm referring to. They were making their threes. They were going to the basket. They were doing everything that they're supposed to do to win basketball games. But yet you watch this game, especially in the third quarter and the first 2 minutes of fourth quarter, and the Knicks were trying to fight back, but the Celtics were still making their shots. But you saw this laziness with the Celtics. There was a period of about 3.5, 4 minutes. They got lazy. And this is why they only have one championship. Because this Celtics team was built from the Danny Ainge regime. You remember when he took all those picks from Brooklyn, when he traded Pierce and Garnett to Brooklyn, and one of those picks, of course, from Brooklyn was Jaylen Brown in 2016. And you saw this team evolve, and as you saw the build come together, and then, of course, the following year, 2017, a pick from Sacramento via the Sixers, third overall again, Jason Tatum. Two guys, same position as far as I'm concerned, similar traits. Jason Tatum, the better shooter. Jaylen Brown, the better guy to the basket, tremendously amazing when he gets to the basket. He could be unstoppable. As he stated in his press conference post-game yesterday, he can be unstoppable. He's more of the slasher. Jason Tatum's a shooter. Both play the same position. Jaylen Brown slightly the better defender. Jason Tatum slightly the better offensive, creating his own shot. But nevertheless, they got it done. And they have to do the same thing Monday night. They can't get lazy. The Celtics historically have been very intriguing because for a team built like this, Danny Ainge, of course, basically taking the house from Brooklyn in that Garnett Pierce trade, getting a bevy of picks, not a bunch, a bevy of picks. And, Danny Ainge doing what he does best. And they had put together this team at the time. Brad Stevens was the coach. That first year they lost 4-1 to the Cavs in the conference final. Kyrie was supposed to be kind of the leader, wasn't playing at all, ended up leaving and going to Brooklyn. The following year in the conference finals, they lose 4-3 to the Cavs. Let me just correct that. So the first year they got to the conference finals against the Cavs, they got torched 4-1. That was 2017. That was Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They were pups. They were young pups. They were getting their feet wet. Following year, Kyrie goes there. They lose 4-3 in that crazy Game 7 in Boston where they missed a ton of threes. Again, their three-point issues. And then 2019, they lose to the Bucks 4-1 in the conference semifinals, roller coaster ride. And then, of course, the pandemic when they lost to the Heat 4-2. Which I thought was just crazy. The pandemic season was crazy. Pandemic clears, everything gets back to normal. And then they lose in the first round in 2021. Well, it wasn't back to normal because the season started later, but they lose 4-1 to Kyrie, Durant, and Harden in Brooklyn. The same team that they basically embezzled all those picks from turns around and beats them in the first round. Pretty good too. And it just kind of, there was questions about those two, leadership and all that stuff. Jason Tatum talking, in his press conference yesterday about, I make money, I make a lot of money, I'm this, I'm that. My issue with this generation of players is they talk a lot. They post a lot on social media. They don't do what they're supposed to do consistently. You got to be consistent in this league. And why I say that, the media will eat you alive. And they've been doing that to Boston. I'm not saying they're right, because some of these media outlets, they get too personal. But Jason Tatum is good enough to be a top 5 player. Jaylen Brown is good enough to be a top 5 player. But they got to be consistent when the playoffs come. Once the ending of April, May starts, this is when it's time to play. When I say time to play, regular season you're supposed to play. But this is when you put everything aside. You got to discipline yourself. You got to ask yourself, am I putting enough effort to be ready to put myself in the position to win? Because if you're just in the playoffs for a first round, I got the first round, then you're wasting your time. You're robbing fans of their money, and you're just doing yourself an injustice. And I remember when they lost that 2021 first round to Brooklyn, I was like, these guys are in a lot of trouble. 2022, they lose in the finals to Golden State. I won't even get into that because that was clearly they weren't ready for that. Unprepared. Then again, they had this roller coaster series in 2023 with Miami. They lose the first 3. They win the first 3. Then they go and they blow it again at home. And then, of course, they finally got it done against a defensive-less Mavs team last year. And, 2024, winning 4-1. It was a good win. They deserved it. Right now, they're down 2-1 to the Knicks. They should be up 3-0. So all the talk in the press conference, I got money, I can take care of my family. Ladies and gentlemen, when you make that kind of money in the NBA, you're going to be able to take care of your family if you spend your money properly, if you surround yourself with the right group of people, and you make the right humanly decisions. You're going to be in a good position to do those things. We don't need to know that. And I'm just talking about us. Just go out and win basketball games. Because the media is going to cook you, especially now. So you got to go out and do what you got to do. Now on the Knicks side, I'll say this right now. Get ready for Monday night. Get ready for tomorrow night. That's it. Now you realize you can't continue to go down and then come back. It's very, very draining. You can't be going down all the time, being down 20. And I said that. You can't. And this is a momentum right now for Boston. Although Boston got a little lazy in the third and early parts of the fourth quarter, let's see how this game starts. This game will tell you the series. This game 4 will determine the series. I'll tell you right now, if Boston wins tomorrow, the series is over in 6. It's over in 6. It'll be a 4-game technical sweep. If the Knicks win tomorrow, they could steal this in 6 games. But they got to be both mentally prepared. The coaching staffs on both ends have to understand the significance of this game and stop fooling themselves. Boston has gone through Brad Stevens, Ime Udoka, and now they're dealing with Joe Mazzulla. Is it those guys' fault? I don't think so. They've had the same 2-star players and a bunch of core players around them. Porzingis, forget about it. The verdict is in on him. He can't stay healthy. Retirement is the next thing. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm being honest. I've seen players like this in local basketball leagues and runs. After a while, the body's telling you something. He has never been able to be consistent physically, health-wise. He's another Chandler Parsons, talented, but never going to be healthy enough. It could be the end for him. So Boston's got to look at life without Porzingis in the rest of this playoffs, if that's the case. The Knicks just got to figure it out. So that's just my take on that whole situation. As far as Minnesota and Golden State, Steph's not there. They did what they were supposed to do last night. They barely won, though. I keep telling you, just because one guy's missing, they still got Jimmy Butler, who knows how to get there. They got Draymond, who knows how to get there and win. Buddy Hield's got to be better. Period. And I said that. Buddy Hield's got to be, he's got to be better. And he's not. So Minnesota's up 2-1, and that's that. Today's games are going to be interesting. Cleveland and Indiana. Can Cleveland steal another game? I wouldn't even call it steal. Can they get themselves even so they can make this the best out of three? I'll tell you right now, Cleveland wins, the series is over. Because Cleveland knows they should have won those first two games in Cleveland. And they know it, just like Boston. But this is sometimes you got to get to that figure out situation. Sometimes you need to lose like that to understand that this is how life works. Life doesn't work in your favor. You got to find a balance, put the effort in, and execute. So Cleveland does that, they'll be all right. They'll tie the series up. OKC, same thing. They're in that same position. Figure it out. Execute. Find balance. Put in the effort, and you'll get this series tied up at 2, and you can go home and get ready for the best out of 3. Same thing with Boston. So that's all it is. It's simple math. Like, I find that a lot of analysts spend way too much time trying to break down the situation when it is very simple. It's like Shaq said on TNT before Game 3. It's all about momentum. It was a must-win for the Knicks. This is now a must-win. You go tied, going back to Boston, best out of 3, and you're going to get cooked. That stove is still hot, and it's about to get even hotter if they don't win that Game 4 tomorrow. So that's just my take, as always. The playoffs are rolling. Things are great. I cannot be disappointed at what I've seen so far in these NBA playoffs, and it's going to keep rolling, folks. So that's a quick take again. We got 2 games today, coming soon this afternoon. Good morning, good afternoon, good day, good night, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Respect, peace. Unscripted 101.